Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Season 17 Spa Grand Prix. On pole, we have Skillmax. He gets a good launch off the start. Taxi trying to go on the inside of Skillmax, doesn't get the position. His teammate Tokyo goes on the outside of Taxi, doesn't get the position as well, so we have the same top 3. Marshall causes a massive crash on the start. Mr. Brian gets put into a side flip and somehow doesn't lose a wing. And it looks like his teammate Spooky actually doesn't get a massive crash and gains a lot of positions from this crash. Marshall still involved in a lot of wheel banging, small touches, but keeps his 12th position. It looks like there will be no safety car called. The race director was unable to... Oh, and Marshall gets side crashed into the off-road. Still no safety car. The race director is unable to see the crashes, so he hasn't called the safety car yet. And then Tino now looking on the outside of Azazel in the Alpine, and it looks like Azazel and the safety car does get called very late.
Does he not want to give it back?
Now still on the safety car in lap 2 we have a +1 and a few drivers go into the pits, and it looks like Marshall was very fast, gets a good launch into the pits. He might be able to overtake Omarius here. Quick rewind on the safety car call. The race director was unable to see the crashes because of a glitch. It looks like Marshall does get the position over Omarius, and he actually gains a position in the pits. Well done to him. Back on the restart on Azazel, he does hit a slowdown, so he's very slow, and he's lifting a bit, so Tino overtakes him before the line, so that it might be a penalty, but it's really difficult to see what actually happened there. Azazel going very slowly now, also being overtaken by his teammates, so Tino has to still worry about 2 Alpines. Mr. Brian Intent goes wide in turn 1, and Marshall is able to go on the inside, not leaving track limits or anything, and a free position for him. Spooky now also behind both Alpines. Probably will try to get alongside Azazel here. He's a bit slower than the rest of the cars, so he might be on a slower tire compound, or Spooky's on a faster one, of course. Beautiful overtake by Spooky. And Marshall also now, Carol actually, on the inside of Azazel. Azazel tries to go for a dive bomb, but Carol has the position pretty much locked down, and Azazel still under pressure by all the drivers. Jimbo now on the outside, just pure faster car, and gets the job done as well. So Azazel lost a lot of positions. He was P4, so he's in P9 now, so that's 5 positions lost. Hopping on board with Taxi now in P2. Overtaking Skillmax by cursing sooner. Skillmax cursing a bit late. Taxi closing the door. Skillmax doesn't want to risk taking out Taxi, and it looks like Taxi keeps his position. There might be time for a dive bomb. It doesn't look like it. Taxi keeps P1 for now. Hopping on board with Azazel again, still in P9 with pressure behind from Mr. Brian. His teammate was able to overtake him, and a great line from Mr. Brian now on the inside. Loses a bit of the grip. Azazel on a slowdown, but still side by side, and Azazel loses grip again. Marshall cursing in front of Azazel, so Azazel losing another 2 positions here. And it looks like Marshall is going for Mr. Brian as well. Azazel also hitting the wall, having to lift off, and ooh, yeah. Oh, crazy rejoin by Mr. Brian, almost crashing into Azazel, and Omari is behind him, and it looks like Azazel barely avoids a real big crash. Hopping back on board with Tokyo and Skillmax. Skillmax taking a bit of a wrong line on the apex, losing a lot of time. Tokyo now cursing past Skillmax here. So he has less curse, so we expect Skillmax to curse early to be side by side. Oh, he doesn't. That's a mistake in my opinion, because now he probably will not go side by side. No, he doesn't. He is still behind. He has a bit more cursed harvested, but it's still a position lost here. Shouldn't have happened, with no option to go for a dive bomb. Also losing time because he hits the back. Yeah, this is just a wrong move from Skillmax. Hopping back on board with Spooky in the Ferrari and Tyler in the Alpine. Spooky gets T-boned onto the outside of the track, loses a lot of speed and also gets overtaken by Carol, who is now fighting Tyler. Spooky lets the two battle, which should be a clean place. No, it's still side by side with Tyler. Very dangerous to go side by side here. They give each other a lot of space. Spooky again giving space, and it looks like he curses earlier than Carol. Loses a bit of speed. Still side by side with Tyler. So he will get this position done. Good move. Back on board with Azazel. Marshall making a mistake by hitting the wall. Azazel now being able to go on the inside of Marshall. Beautifully done. Does go offsides, bit of a slowdown, but Marshall doesn't have enough speed to overtake him back again. No curses used, so great move done by Azazel. Back on board with Azazel, still fighting Marshall. Not making a mistake here, goes a bit wide and Marshall sees the opportunity to go do the same move as Azazel did on him, and he gets that position. Great overtake by Marshall. Back on board with Spooky. He is not able to go side by side. He is very tight racing at the moment with the Aston Martin in front of him. Beautiful lines on the inside. Curses a bit to go for the dive bomb, a bit of contact. But the Aston Martin goes wide and Spooky is able to overtake him and keep this position. Back on board with Taxi, the race leader. He is driving pretty clean. Up until now he has hit a slowdown, which means Tokyo behind him is able to overtake him into P1, which gives him the race lead at the moment after the move he did on Skillmax. Back on board with Marshall. Acid makes a mistake, which gives Marshall a great opportunity to take that position away from him, and he does. Beautifully done on the outside. And Acid uses Curse to go past Marshall again. Marshall now trailing behind Acid and unable to really do anything about it. Acid having a bit of a problem with grip, and Marshall is putting the pressure on Acid, but is unable to overtake him for now. Acid curses way earlier than Marshall, which is a mistake. Marshall is now unable to get close to him before the next braking zone or lifting zone, which means Acid will be taking that position back after the mistake he made. Hopping back on board with Marshall, still behind Acid, hitting the wall again. It looks like Marshall fakes Acid into a very bad line. He gained a lot of curse from that. Might have been enough. Acid curses again on this straight. Marshall doesn't. And it looks like Marshall's just keeping his curse very close to a full bar and trying to go for full use of a full bar. And oh, Acid slows down very much. Marshall takes him out, stops on track. Hazard Omarius almost crashes into him. Very bad. Mr. Brian has a better view, so there's not really a crash potential, but a very, very bad move and very dangerous move from Marshall here.
Yeah, because he from USA, what I wanna like 4 races, 5 races. It's a lie, I didn't touch him.
Still on board with Marshall and Acid. Acid going into the wall again. Marshall now on the final lap, being able to pull the move on the inside. Acid does a switchback, but Marshall keeps the position for now. Will Acid curses again. Marshall curses back and crashes Acid on the off road again, keeping the position. Hopping back with Skillmax in the race lead with very worn out tires. Tokyo behind it with better gripped tires. Tokyo touching Skillmax on the back, which means he slides out, but Tokyo doesn't want to get a penalty, so he doesn't overtake him here. Gives him the position. This is the final lap, which means that anything that happens here will determine a lot of points difference for championship standings. It looks like Skillmax is just faster on the straights because of his worn out tires. They curse at a similar time, which means Tokyo is very close on him into the final corners. Does Tokyo go. He does go for a dive bomb. They go side by side through the final corners. And it looks like Skillmax does come out on top and gets this P1 with Tokyo in P2. Very well driven by Skillmax. Taxi finishing out on the podium in P3, which means it's a 2-3 for Red Bull Racing. Very well done.